we have kind of reached to the finish line of this chapter. Not the finish line itself is going to be very long, but this is the last phylum about which we have to study in detail, partly because we belong to this phylum and partly also because everything we see around, mostly all our pets, the animals which are significant to us, our cattle, the predators like tigers, all these belong to this chordate phylum, chordata. So we discussed in the last class about the difference between chordates and non-chordates, and I told you that there are 4 characteristic fundamental features that every chordate will have either in the embryonic stage or in the adult stage, but it will have. Okay, so I will ask Iram to just summarize it for Aisha, because Aisha was not present in the last class. How about it, Iram? We started with oviparous and viviparous, a doubt which I think Iram only asked, if I'm not wrong. Okay, can we start with a summary, Iram?
Yes. Should I start from hemichordata?
Yeah, okay, because so oviparous and viviparous is the animals which give birth to the young ones, okay, Aisha, and oviparous is the animals which lay eggs, and you can always understand it with the word O. O looks like an egg, right? All the eggs are O-shaped, so oviparous are egg laying. This is how I remembered it in my class, junior class. Okay, you can start with hemichordata. Yep.
Yes, sir. Phylum hemichordata or half chordates. Hemichordates do not have notochords but have another structure called as stomochord, which is equivalent to notochord. In this phylum, there are
And just one more thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the stomochord is also not present for the whole life, lifespan. It is present in one stage of life. Okay. Yes. Okay. Cool.
So in this phylum, there are worm-like structures which has major 3 regions. The top is the head, which is called as proboscis. Then there is a collar region, and finally a trunk region, which follows like a tail. And inside the collar region, there is a structure that goes inside, and it's called as a stomochord. These organisms have organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and coelomate animals. The excretory organ is proboscis gland, and sexes are separate, and fertilization is external, where development is indirect, which means that they have larval stage. Example: balanoglossus and sarcoglossus. And also, the stomochord is present for some part of their life.
Exactly.
Next phylum is phylum Chordata. Most species within the phylum Chordata are vertebrates. Example includes fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, including humans. Chordates are named on the basis of the presence of notochord. This phylum is fundamentally characterized by 3 following features. First is notochord. Second is nerve cord, which is dorsal and hollow. Third is pharyngeal gill slits, and these gill slits are paired. And fourth is post-anal tail. Now here a question arises that humans are chordate, so where is the tail and gill slits? At initial phases, the human embryo has gill slit and tail, but later on it disappears, right?
Yes.
Chordates are bilaterally symmetrical. They have organ system level of organization and are triploblastic, and they have closed circulatory system. It means the blood is enclosed between the heart and the arteries and the veins. Yeah.
Correct.
Then we discussed the comparison of chordates and non-chordates. The first criteria of chordates is notochord. Notochord is present, and in non-chordate it is absent. Central nervous system is dorsal, hollow, and single. It contains brain and spinal cord, whereas in non-chordate, central nervous system is ventral, solid, and double. The spinal cord is ventral, it means. And in chordates, pharynx are perforated by gill slates. Gill slates are present in the pharynx, and heart in non-chordate, gill slates are absent. chordates, heart is ventral, and in non-chordates, heart is dorsal. And in chordates, the body holds post-anal part, tail, it's present, and in non-chordate, it's absent.
Yes, very, very good, Hiram. I think so. You have, I think you summarize way better than I do now. So I'm very proud of you, and it was really good a summary. Great job. Yes, even Aisha clapped. No, I really mean it because you, when you were summarizing, it was like you were teaching, and it was so, you were so confident of what you know, and it's a good thing. It's a good sign of learning. Great. Okay, so let's begin today's class, and today we will dive deep into the phylum chordate. So as I said that the phylum chordate. Now it is divided into subphyla. Okay, so subphyla is not exactly the class, so because we come to when we talk about the hierarchy or the biological classification, we like kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, right? You know that? And both of you, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. But in phylum chordate, there are subphyla. Okay, this is another distinction that we have made to, because so many organisms are in chordates, to make the study easier. Okay, and so much of diversity is there in kingdom, in phylum chordate. So basically these subphyla are, it's not like all are chordates, but they are just named. So one is called tunicates. Okay, tunicata or tunicates. They are also in some books referred as urochordates. I'll tell you why they are called urochordates later on, but tunicates you should remember. And the second is called cephalochordates. Cephalochordates. Okay, so euro, cephalo, these are the words before, prefix before chordates. Just remember that. And the third is the vertebrates, right? As Iram said, that majority of them, species, are vertebrates, right? So by vertebrates, you understood that they will be having a complete, fully formed, functional spinal cord and also vertebral column. Correct? Spinal cord runs between the vertebral column. So vertebral column is basically bones, vertebra. Correct? There are 33 bones which together makes our vertebral column, which we call a spine. Yes? Clear? Yes. Now, so if this is vertebrate, which means these are the true chordates. True means the most advanced chordates. Then these two, tunicates and cephalochordates, are known as protochordates. Proto means prokaryotes.
Old chordates.
Old, yes, that evolved early, and they are not as advanced as vertebrates. So tunicates and cephalochordates come under protochordates, and vertebrates are the true chordates or the advanced chordates. Is this clear? Now, how, remember I told you that earlier when scientists and evolutionary biologists did not knew enough about hemichordates, for example, belanoglossus and saccoglossus, they are not something which are very commonly present around us. You go to any water body and you can get a belanoglossus. No. They only live in marine environment, and also in marine environment they have specific regions where they live. They are not found everywhere in every ocean and every sea. So first finding them is rare, but when we found them, we realized that, oh, they are something different. So they don't have notochord. They have something called stomochord. So if you don't have notochord at all, but you have something equivalent to it, you do not qualify to be in a chordate phylum. Correct? This is okay. So then they were taken out and kept in the hemichordates. Even there, their stomochord may or may not be present for the whole complete life. Make sense, Iram and Asha? We are on the same page. Am I audible? Yes, no? Yeah, okay, cool. So
Yes.
emojis will work. Yeah. But then we also found out that there are many organisms which have notochord. It is not a stomochord, it is a true notochord, but it is not present for their complete life. Now, what to call them? Vertebrates have a notochord right from the beginning till the end of their life. So they are true chordates, sorted, no problem. But tunicates and cephalochordates do not follow that rule. So that's why within the phylum, there was a need to develop subphylum. Whenever the change is not that great, which is enough to distinguish them differently, we have to make subcategories. For example, in species, okay? So you will find nowadays many organisms, instead of using binomial nomenclature, we use trinomial nomenclature for them. For example, hibiscus. For humans, it is Homo sapiens, right? For hibiscus, it is Hibiscus rosa sinensis, the common China rose that is grown in India and other temporal countries. It's called the Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So the hibiscus is the genus, rosa is the species, and the sinensis is the subspecies. You understand? Because they have some minor changes among themselves, but not enough to categorize them as two different species. So we call them subspecies. Similarly, this is a subphyla. Is it clear where does subphyla came
So,
from?
yes,
Yes, yes, Iram.
question.
Yes.
So in hemichordates, the stomochord disappears, right? I mean, it's only for a certain period of time. But where does the stomochord goes later?
It doesn't go anywhere. It's a very good question. Where does it go, right? But for example, thymus. We all are, so in humans also there are many organs which are present in the beginning, but they start degenerating afterwards. For example, you know about thymus. Thymus is an organ which is like small. It's walnut shaped, walnut sized. So you know the size of a walnut, right? It is present in the center of our chest when we are born, and thymus keeps producing T lymphocytes. Like, it's important for immune system. So in the beginning, when a kid is born, we need to set up the immune system. So the thymus is big like a walnut. Then over time, the thymus keeps shrinking, 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 and suddenly it becomes very, very less, or just it's not there. Till puberty, it's very, very diminished. So similarly, things like notochords might be present in an organism during the larval stage. So the larva will have that cord running through one end to the other. As they will keep growing, that cord will disintegrate or just disappear. It will go away from its position. It will shrink and go away. The cells will keep dying, and something else will take its place. Okay, you understand?
Yes, sir.
These changes happen even in human. You must be knowing that when a baby is born, the baby has somewhere around 300 bones in the body, right? By the time you become adult, you only have 206 bones in your body. So where do all those bones go? The extra bones, where do they go? They fuse. Two bones fuse to become one bone, or some bone just keep becoming smaller and smaller and then disappear. Okay, that's why a human baby is more flexible than an adult, but it's also fragile. So that's where they say that the bones are not strong enough, they are not fused, and the muscles and the bones have not yet become incorporated with each other to provide strength. So whenever you hold a baby, you are very cautious not to leave the head hanging, right? But for an adult, we can hold our head very firmly on our shoulders, right? A baby cannot. If you leave the head of the baby, newborn baby, the head will just, it can snap or it can get some injury. Correct? You understand? They always say, no, hold the baby like this. The head should get the support. Do you understand what I'm saying, Asha Niram? Yeah, very
Yes.
good. Perfect. So this is where it goes. Does that answer your question, Niram?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So similarly, in chordates also, now, if they are chordates, they have notochord. No question in that. But the urochordates, the notochord is present only in the larval tail. Okay. So in urochordates, which is tunicata, write down, notochord is present. It is a true notochord but notochord is only present during the larval stage and in the larval tail, not in the other region, just the tail part. So it's a incomplete notochord, but it's a notochord. So you have to keep it under chordates, but then you have to make a subphyla to study them as tunicates, urochordates. Okay. Now talking about cephalochordates. They also develop notochord in the larval stage, but their notochord is complete. Okay. Notochord is from notochords is from head to tail. Head to tail. And also stays or is also persistent throughout the life. So it's a complete notochord and it stays throughout the life. In urochordate, it's only present in the larval stage and also in the tail of the larva. Then how is cephalochordates different from vertebrates? They look like a true chordate, right? So cephalochordates are true chordates, but they are not vertebrates. What do I mean by that? Hiram, I think Aisha again is having some internet issues. Yeah, she's joined back. Yep. Welcome, Aisha. Can you hear me, Aisha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I will just repeat myself that tunicates or urochordates have notochord, but only during the larval stage, and that also in their tail. Okay, not in the whole body, and it does not persist forever. But in cephalochordates, the notochord is complete from head to tail, and it is present throughout the life. Then how are they different from vertebrates? Why are cephalochordates not vertebrates? Iram, any guess on the basis of the words? Because cephalochordates only have notochord. Yes, Iram, you're saying something. Yes. Iram, you're saying, yeah.
So I have a little confusion. I'm not getting this one.
Come again, tell me. What?
I'm
You
not
have a
getting this
confusion.
one. Yeah.
Okay. So there are two things. One is notochord, which is a tube-like structure. Okay. It's hollow and it's a notochord. So we are categorizing in three different subphylum: urochordates, cephalochordates, and the third one we are calling vertebrates. So urochordate has a notochord only present in the larval tail, does not persist throughout the life. This is clear to you,
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Cephalochordates have a notochord which is complete from head to tail and it persists throughout the life. This is also clear. So they have a notochord forever, as long as they live. Is this clear?
Yes.
Then why are cephalochords different from vertebrates was my question. Do you understand the question?
I think because vertebrate possess the notochord for in the embryonic stages only.
Yes. So what happens in the non-embryonic stages? Do they lose the notochord? If they lose the notochord,
I'm not sure, but it is kind of replaced by vertebral column.
exactly, perfect. So that's what happens. So vertebrates also have notochord which is complete from head to tail, during the larval or embryonic stage, as you said, which later on, now we know that notochord is muscular, right? But later on, that notochord is replaced by, in the same, at the same position, at the same place, it is replaced by the cartilaginous or bony vertebral column in the adult. Now in humans, the vertebral column is bony. It consists of 33 bones connected together in a chain-like fashion to make the spine, which is our vertebral column. Do you understand, everyone? Both of you?
Yes.
So we are one step ahead. Hemichordates were one step down. Urochordates they are just trying to take the step, but they are not able to take it. Cephalochordates are on the step. They are exactly what notochords should be, but vertebrates are one step ahead. Okay, now is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. So write down urochordates. Some examples which are asked is doliolum has been asked in NEET. Doliolum, and there's one more called salpa. These two are there. For protochordates, you must have um, um, heard a word which is very famous example called amphioxus. Remember amphioxus? It's also known as lancelet. Okay, amphioxus is known as lancelet. If you want to figure out, just Google it and see. Okay. Now, what vertebrates? Write down. They have notochord. Okay, so they possess notochord in embryonic stages. Okay, which is later replaced by vertebral column. Okay, and this vertebral column is either bony or cartilaginous. I'll tell you where it is cartilaginous when we'll come to fish. They have two kind of fishes, bony fishes and cartilaginous fishes. So there we'll see a cartilaginous vertebral column. Chondriopthyes. Okay, so this part is clear. So can I say, in to summarize all in one sentence, that all chordates are not vertebrates, but all vertebrates are chordates? Can I say that? Or is it the other way around? I don't know. You tell me.
Vertebrates are chordates, but chordates
All
won't be vertebrates.
all vertebrates are chordates. You agree with that? Because all vertebrates come under the phylum chordate as a subphyla. It's the same kind of thing like gold always glitters, but all that glitters is not gold, right? So there can be other things apart from gold that glitters. So the same thing. So if I say a statement that all vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates, is it true statement?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so write down all vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. Okay. Now vertebrates have one couple of more things which are different from other chordates. So in vertebrates, I'm writing those things in black ink. Apart from everything that other chordates have, like these protochordates have, vertebrates also have a heart. Okay, and it is a ventral muscular heart. Ventral muscular heart, which has chambers. Now, depending on which class we will study, It can be 2-chambered, 3-chambered, or 4-chambered heart. Starting with fish having 2-chambered and mammals having 4-chambered. So 2, 3, or 4-chambered heart are present in vertebrates. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing is we have specific organs, okay, for excretion and osmoregulation called kidneys. Okay, for excretion, we only know that kidney is for excretion, but you should also know that kidney also is for osmoregulation. What do we mean by osmoregulation? Just do a surgery of the word. Osmo comes from osmosis. What is osmosis? Anyone remembers osmosis? Diffusion? Yes, Iram. You're mute, Iram. If you're speaking, you're mute.
So, osmoregulation, it is a process that regulates osmotic pressure of fluid inside the body.
Perfect. So osmosis is movement of water, right? When water moves from one cell to another on the basis of its concentration gradient, right, through a semi-permeable membrane, that's called osmosis. That is why when you keep your hands dipped in water for a very long time, you see that your hands kind of become fuzzy, you know, they kind of bulge out because a lot of water goes inside, correct? Or you keep a raisin. If you keep a raisin in water and leave it for overnight, the raisin become like a grape. Have you done these experiments?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because of osmosis, flow of water from higher concentration gradient to lower concentration gradient. But in our body, the water flow and the movement of fluid, as you said, has to be regulated. That is done by kidneys through hormonal, some hormones which are secreted and acts on kidneys. So kidneys have this ability to absorb water from the blood, and when they absorb water from the blood, what will happen to the blood? Will it become thick or thin? If you absorb water from the blood will become thick or thin?
Thick.
Thick. Okay, so in some conditions we need our blood to be thicker. Okay, when do we need our blood to be thicker? When there is too much of water in our blood, we need to absorb excess water, right? Extra water. Okay, or to reduce the flow of blood. If it is thicker, it will flow slowly, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so during high blood pressure situations where like you are in a stress or anxiety or you are afraid, you would like to slow down the pressure of blood. We also need to thin the blood. So put back the water inside the blood, and you can, this is called osmoregulation of the blood. Is it clear? And that kidneys does, apart from just making urine. So they are important function organs. So that is invertebrates, okay, the dedicated kidneys. And we have paired appendages, very important. So when I say paired, it can only be 2 or 4 or 6. So paired appendages, and in appendages comes limbs, of course, but also fins, because fish do not have limbs, so they have fins. So limbs and fins both qualify to be appendages, and they are always paired. Okay, so these are other things. So now we will not focus more on protochordates. It was just for you to know that there are urochordates and cephalochordates, which are together called protochordates. We will follow vertebrates from here onwards. Is it clear? Is this part clear? The phylum and the subphylum? Cool. Now let's go to the vertebrate. So I am going to start the subphylum vertebrata. So vertebrata, as you know now, has these features. Now the vertebrata, so kingdom, phylum, what comes after phylum?
Division.
You actually get class. Division is used for plants, but I think in your NCERT there is a misleading term division written here, right? When they are trying to figure out different. So that division is how the vertebrates are divided. Okay. But finally we have to go to class to study classes, different classes under the phylum Vertebrata. So it's divided, Vertebrata is divided into two categories. That is sometimes called division. Okay. But division is a replacement for phylum in plants. Okay. So one is called, one type of organisms do not have jaw. So they lack jaws. They're called no jaws. You know what are jaw, right? We use to chew food. Okay. And the jaw in biology is written as gnatha or gnatha. The G is slightly silent, but it's there. Gnatha. So gnatha means jaw.
So it's
Yes.
AG.
No. I'll tell you. A is absence of it. So gnatha is jaw. So this which lack jaw is called agnatha.
Okay.
Okay. So if something is missing, we call it no A. We just like forestation. So there is forest. If you remove the forest, it's called afforestation or deforestation, right? You just add the word a to make absence of it, to show the absence. Can you tell any word in English which has a? Cellular, acellular, right?
Yes.
Similarly, so gnatha is jaw. If I put a gnatha means
Lacks jaw.
yes, biotic or abiotic, right? Abiota means non-living. Biotic means living. Biotic components and abiotic components. Similarly, gnatha is jaw. Agnatha means no jaws. So under this category, there is one class. So I am writing it as class 1 that we will study. So the agnatha without jaws are called cyclostomata. So if they don't have jaw, what do they have? What can you think? If something does not have a jaw, what will they have? If I take jaws out of human skull, how will the skull look like? How will the mouth look like? Come on. Simple. It's simple, right? If you cannot chew, what is the other way to have food? What do old people without teeth do? They kind of suck liquid food, right? Dalia khayenge. So if you
Yes.
don't have jaws in nature, you need to have your sucker, like some sucking organ through which you can just put directly food into your body, right? You cannot chew. You do not have jaws. So there are fish in fish-like organisms in nature which are called cyclostomata. The word stomata comes from pores. You know, stomata are openings, right, in the leaf, and cyclo is circular. You understand? Circular opening, which is like a sucker without any teeth. So they cannot eat anything hard which requires chewing. Is it clear? You know,
Yes.
makes sense, right? It's simple. It's not very difficult. So if one does not have jaw, the other will have jaw. So they will be called, this is cyclostomata, just a circular opening without jaws. So this will be called this. Now it is not aganatha. It is they bear jaws or they have jaws. Not let me write. Okay, just yeah. Lack jaw, they have jaws. So they are called gnathostomata. Stomata again means opening and gnatho means jaw. So they have a jaw opening. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. and they are then divided into further into two categories. So this is the complexity. Okay, so this is where they use the word division here, and because this is class 1, so this another opening is called super class. It's above the class. So one will be fish, which are called Pisces, and this is on the basis of their appendages. Okay, now fish have fins, they don't have legs or limbs. Okay, and other one is called tetrapoda. Tetrapoda. Pisces means fish, simple, no other explanation. Fish, a sunshine is also called Pisces, right? Zodiac sign is called Pisces, right?
Yes, sir.
Because it's fish, so easy to remember. The word tetra means
3.
four. Mono, di, tri, tetra, penta, hexa.
Yeah.
Hepta, octa, nona, deca. So tetra means 4 and poda means
Limb.
limbs. Yes. So 4 limbs. They bear limbs. They have limbs. Okay. They have limbs, and how many? 4. Not more, not less. Now the classes will start. So in the Pisces, we will be studying the second class, which is
So,
class 2. Yeah.
so appendages and limbs are same, right?
Yes, appendages can also be contain fins. So if I'm saying appendages, in a fish, fins are the appendages. In a human, legs and hands are the appendages. In a spider, there's 8 legs are the appendages. So appendage is a broader biological term, which means any structure which is coming out of your main body and is helping you to move is called appendage. Okay.
Yes.
Fins and limbs are more specific terms. Fins means fins, limbs means what we and dogs and cats and rats have.
Yeah,
Okay.
because last time you said that arthropoda. Arthro means joint and poda
Joint.
appendages.
Yes. Poda means
Over here,
appendages or
poda
limbs.
means.
Yeah. So here also poda can means appendages because our appendages are specifically called limbs.
Yes.
Fish appendages are specifically called fins. That's the difference. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So the second class here, class 2, is called, which is the first class under Pisces, is called chondric thighs. And the third class, which we have to study under vertebrata, is ostic thighs. Now I'll tell you, these words are just a headache, but I'll tell you what you have to remember. So just remember this part. The word chondro is for cartilage. So these are cartilaginous fishes. And the word osteo or osti is for bones. So these are bony fishes. So chondriok thighs have their skeleton made up of cartilage, entirely cartilage. There is not a single bone in their body. So they are light fish. Their body is made up of cartilage. Our body is made up of bones, though we have cartilage, but at very, very rare, like limited locations, like nose. The upper part of the nose is made up of cartilage. The ear, the pinna, outer ear is made up of cartilage. On our knee, there is a kneecap that is made up of cartilage. And if you are a non-vegetarian and you have had a chicken leg piece, then you will see that at the top of it there is a soft thing which you can chew, and that's cartilage, right? You understand?
Yes.
Yes. So some kind of fish have their whole skeleton made up of cartilage. Some fish have their whole skeleton made up of bones. So that is the difference. They all have fins. They all swim like the same. So cartilaginous and bony fishes are called chondriocthies and osteocthies, class 2 and class 3. Then other classes we study in tetrapoda. Okay, here we come to I'm continuing the class in number, okay? So you know that class 2 is actually the class 1 of Pisces. It only have 2 classes. I'm just continuing from here. Class 1, class 2, class 3. So now we come to the 4th class under vertebrata, which is amphibians. Here it's all simple. You all have studied this, right? Amphibia. Then class 5 is reptilia, which is reptiles. Class 6 is aves. Aves is birds. Okay. And class 7 is where we come. What is it?
Mammals.
Mammalia. Yes, mammalia or mammals. So we have to total study these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 classes under vertebrata, and that's where the chapter finishes. Is this division clear to all, both of you? How we have divided? Just take a look at this. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Take a look in a broader prospect of everything under vertebrata. What are the 7 classes under it, and where are these 7 classes? One is under Agnatha. Then there are gnathostomes. Then they again divide into 2 superclasses. 2 are under Pisces and 4 are under Tetrapoda. Just remember that. So have a look. I'll just take a quick 1-minute break. I'll get some water for myself and I'll be back. Okay, Iram?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Any doubts, Iram? Are you there, Iram?
Yes, sir. No doubt.
Yeah, no doubts. So shall we move forward with the class?
Yeah.
Now, with these classes, it becomes simple. For every class, we just have to study not more than 4 important points. Now, we know that they all are vertebrates. So no studying about their symmetry or, their level of organization, whether they are um, triploblastic or acelomate or not. We know that they have all the 3 layers. They are triploblastic, they are true coelomates. That's why they are vertebrates, right? So all those, we also know they have closed circulatory system. So everything you study about the phylum chordate applies on this, right? So we don't have to do all of those things again. We only have to study the important parts. So do you have NCERT with you currently? Do you have NCERT?
So just give me a minute. I'll bring it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So please open your NCERT and come to page number. Which one is that? 56. Okay. Page number 56.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'll do is we'll do the same exercise. I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay, to read the paragraph. I can see they are just small paragraphs. So about cyclostomata, where is cyclostomata now? It is class 1, right? So it's a jawless vertebrate, and you have a
Yes.
diagram of petromyzon just in front of it. Petromyzon is called lamprey. Lamprey fishes, lamprey have these fancy fins, which like if you have seen a lamprey, if you put on Google, lampreys are very wide. Lamprey are the first organisms in evolution that have cerebellum, like a high order brain, a brain within a brain. You know that? We have a brain called cerebellum, which helps us do the belly dance. That's how I remembered it.
Yes,
So
sir.
anything that requires precision is done by cerebellum. And belly dance requires precision, or any kind of dance, or riding a bicycle, or doing fine arts. So these are the organisms from where the development of a brain and within a brain, a high order brain started. So because this is where vertebrates start. Okay. So I give you 2 minutes. Please read the cyclostomata part. Cyclo means circular and stomata means opening. So they are jawless. And tell me, you just have to summarize everything in not more than 5 points. I don't want more than 5 points for every class. If you say more than 5 points, then you have not been able to identify the most important ones. Okay, so I give you 2 minutes, read, and then you have to tell me 5 points by the time I'm preparing it here. Okay, your time starts now. If you're done before, let me know.
Done, sir.
Okay, done. So first I want your 5 points, then I'll say so tell me which are your 5 points. Then I'll tell you which are important and which are not. Tell me, what are your 5 points you have chosen? Believe me, you will not be asked more than these 5 important points in any class.
So I have just one more than five.
Okay, tell me your 6. Which is the first one?
Yeah.
First point is?
Yeah. Cyclostomata are ectoparasites on some fishes.
So
They
is
have
this your
elongated.
first point?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But don't you think they have no other option? If you don't have your own jaw, you have sucker. What you are going to do with that sucker? Have you not seen big sharks swimming, and underneath them there are fishes who are attached to their surface like this? They also swim with them.
Yes.
You've seen that? So this is because these fish are cyclostomes. They are petromyzon or related species, myxine, hagfish. So they cannot chew their food. So they always live like a ectoparasite on the body of other fish because they don't have their own jaw. They have just a sucker. So we'll not use that as first point because it's obvious, right? But let's for you, I'm just including it. Ectoparasite, because that's the only option they can, how they can survive and get food. And
Next point, they have
have,
elongated body bearing 16-15 pairs of gill slits.
yes, so ectoparasites, and in the same sentence you can write around 15 gill slits. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
first thing. Second,
They have sucking and circular mouth without jaws.
yeah, of course, that's why they are called cyclostomes. That do you know, right? Do you need to write it as a point now?
No, I don't think so.
No, right? Because they are cyclostome, they are agnatha. So they don't have jaws. So what will they have if they don't have jaws? Circular sucking mouth. Circular means cyclo, stomata means opening. So circular mouth. Clear?
Yes, sir.
But what's important is they do not have scales. Okay. Fish should have scales, right? No scales on the body. Is it clear?
And paid.
Yes. And paired fins. Now this is the problem. You know, some people argue or can argue that why don't we keep cyclostomata under fish? Why is this one class separate on the basis of jaw is the first answer. Second, they do not qualify to be fish because they don't have scales. Fish have scales, right? On their
Yes.
body, but they do have paired fins. So they are kind of fish, but not a fish. You understand that?
Fish.
Yeah. Okay, that's the second point.
Yeah.
Then third,
Cranium and vertebral column are cartilages.
yes, they
So what
have
is a
cranium is the skull. Okay,
okay? Yeah.
cranial capacity. The word cranium is the skull. Okay, cranial capacity is the capacity of your skull, how big your brain can be. So their cranium, which means their skull, and their vertebral column, both are made up of cartilage. Okay, so you can simply write skull and vertebral column made up of cartilage. Okay, these are the kind of organisms which have a cartilaginous vertebral column. And fourth,
Circulation is of closed time.
yes, I think circulation is closed in all the vertebrates because that is a feature of a chordate, isn't it?
Yes.
So all chordates have closed circulatory system. Do you know any chordate which have open circulatory system? They will have blood vessels, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, most of them. If there is anyone, don't think so. Let me remember. I don't think, because they all have hearts, so they will need to have a closed circulatory system. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They have a closed circulatory system. So we will not write that as the major because that's clear for stomata, cyclostomata, right? But the important one is that they are marine. Okay. They live in marine water, but lay eggs in fresh water. Okay.
So marine is a common thing, right?
Marine is a
Well,
no. It's not common thing. All the vertebrates do not live in marine water. No, they are freshwater vertebrates as well. Like there are freshwater fish, there are reptiles, there are frogs. Frogs don't live in oceans, right?
yes.
Yeah. So that's not a common thing. So there, but the important thing is that normally when organisms are marine, they also lay eggs in the marine water. But they are special. They are marine. They want to live in marine water, but they want to lay eggs in fresh water. That's called spawning. Mating and laying eggs. Okay. That's called spawning together. Spawning activity. So they live in marine water, but they spawn in fresh water. Okay. And fifth is most important.
Their larvae, their larvae after
So
metamorphosis return to the ocean.
of course, so if they have their development, as you said, is indirect, which means they have a larval stage, and their larvae then undergo metamorphosis. The word metamorphosis, you know what does the word metamorphosis means? It will also come. It was also come for arthropoda. The word meta means large scale, metadata, metaverse, for that. And morphosis means change or appearance.
So can we compare it with evolution?
No. Metamorphosis is large scale appearance change. So evolution is not just appearance, it is also the genetics, right? It's not like just the appearance changes. The genetics also changes. But here genetics is not changing, and it is happening in just one lifetime, every organism's lifetime. Evolution happens in generations. You understand that? It happens in millions of years. But metamorphosis happens within weeks or within months, sometimes within days in case of arthropods. Do you understand? And the genes remain the same. So whatever gene was present in the sperm and the ovum, when they fertilize, the same gene is present in the larva. But larva looks very different from the parents. Even with the same genes, now it will change itself entirely and start looking something else. For example, a male butterfly and a female butterfly mated and gave rise to an egg. But what comes out from that egg, from their gene? Does a butterfly come out of the egg? No, a larva comes, which we call caterpillar, right?
Yes.
Does a caterpillar look like a butterfly?
No.
Then with the same genes, without changing the genes, it changes its appearance. It goes under a cocoon and completely transforms 360 degrees and becomes what? A butterfly with wings and all, and come out. So that process is called metamorphosis, a large scale change in their appearance. Okay. So it's not evolution. Do you understand, Iram?
Yes, sir.
So the fifth important thing is that after spawning, the parents die within a few days. You know why they die? Because they are not fit to survive in fresh water, and their eggs are not fit to survive in marine water. So they do this sacrifice. They leave the fresh water, marine water, go into some river which is connected to the ocean. And what is the flow of river? Where does river flows? It always flows from the land to the ocean. It never flows back, right? That's why all the rivers are having fresh water and all the oceans are having marine water. Ultimately, finally, rivers go back into the ocean, right? Let's take example of Ganga or Yamuna in India. They both start from Himalaya and then go into the Bay of Bengal, correct?
Yes.
The Bay of Bengal is a sea, so it is marine, but the rivers are fresh water coming from the glaciers. Suppose there is a petromyzon in the Bay of Bengal in the marine water, and to lay eggs, it comes back into the river. So is it flowing against the river or with the flow of the river?
Against.
Yes, it has to flow against the flow of the river and go to a freshwater niche where they can lay the eggs. But that whole journey is very, very toll taking to them and they die. So even though they know that it is going to be difficult, they still do it. That's the natural behavior that they have. So after spawning, they die. Yeah, right. There are many parents in nature. If I'll tell you about octopus, we studied octopus. Octopus, some species are regarded as the best mothers in the nature because an octopus lays hundreds of eggs. They are all jelly-like eggs. So they are all stuck to each other like a bunch of grapes. So what does the mother octopus does is that she lay all the eggs, stitches them or stick all of them to a rock, and then sits beside that rock, never leaves the rock. So the eggs take around few months to hatch. She stays there continuously, day, night, without eating, without doing anything, to just look at the eggs. Because if she will go away, some other bigger fish or predator will come and eat all the eggs. So she stays there. Sometimes when the babies hatch out of the eggs, the mother is sitting there but is dead already. And the body starts to decompose. But just because she is there, the octopus is physically there, no predator will approach because they don't know if it's dead. Okay.
But sir, how does the mother die?
Because of starvation, no food, nothing.
Oh.
It dies. It never leaves. You understand?
Yes.
So after spawning, they die and their larvae undergo metamorphosis and return to ocean. Then again, they grow up and do the same thing for their kids. Examples are petromyzon and myxine. So lamprey and hagfish are the examples. Is it clear about class 1? So you understood how we have to study the classes. Nothing what we already did for the phylum. Okay. We just have to study some high-end qualities or characteristics. That's all. So cyclostomata is clear. That was the only class under agnathostomes or agnatha. Then we come to gnathostomes or gnathostomata. Agnatha is also called agnathostomes. So cyclostomata comes under that. Now in gnathostomes, the class which we are going to do first is chondriocthies. I already told you they are cartilaginous fishes. Okay. So again, same thing, take 2 minutes. If you can take less, good. And read that paragraph, your time starts now. You have to tell me again 5 most important characteristics. Okay. Your time starts now. Are you reading?
Yes, sir.
Yes, chondriocthies. Did you read, Iram? Finding it difficult to figure out what to include in 5 points, right?
There are lot.
Yeah, a lot more. But see, many of those should not be in the important 5 points about contractiles. You already know it. For example, if it says that notochord is present throughout life, you already know it. That's why they are called the vertebrates, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Tell me, what are the 5 points you would like to include? So first, tell me. As their name suggests, they are chondriocthi, so they have cartilaginous skeleton. Okay,
Yes.
so you can just know that from the name, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to include that as a point?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's write it like cartilaginous skeleton. And where is the skeleton? Their skeleton inside the body or outside the body? For insects, it was outside the body, so it was called exoskeleton. Here it
Inside
is inside the body, so it will be called as
endoskeleton.
endoskeleton. Simple. So cartilaginous endoskeleton. But the important part is all these contractiles have their mouth located ventrally. Mouth located ventrally. What do you mean by ventrally? If the fish is swimming, from the top you will not be able to see the mouth. It will be on the downside. You understand?
Yes.
So for example, sharks. Have you seen sharks? Sharks are contractiles.
Yes.
Sharks have their mouth on the downside. You cannot see it from the top. And sharks are contractile, so means shark's endoskeleton is made completely of cartilage. Okay, what is the next point you would like to keep in the best 5?
Gill slits are separate and without operculum.
Yes, that's important. Gill slits are naked. In this case, gill slits are open. Separate, of course, they are separate. There are many, they are separate. They were also separate in the above example, which was cyclostomes. But the gill slits are open, which means they don't have operculum. You know what does operculum means?
Yeah, gill cover.
Yes. So if you do you like fish, have you had any fish? Do you eat fish? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen big fishes in your home? Like sometimes anyone has brought a big fish, so they call it. So to see the gills, you have to. There is a opening, so there is like a cover. So you have to remove that cover, and the gills are visible to you. So what I'm talking about is, so if this is the fish, let's say, okay, this is the eyes. You will see there's a covering here. So if you remove that covering to this side, you will see that the gills are within inside it, the
Yes.
red gills. But in case of sharks, if you see a shark, like let's say the shark body, you will see that they are naked. These cuts are visible like this. The gills are visible from outside. There's no covering on it. You understood what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's open gill slits without operculum. That's the feature of chondriocthies. Okay, next. What is the next third point you would like
The
to keep?
skin. Yeah. The
Mhm.
skin is tough, containing minute placoid scales.
Placoid. Yes. So this is where scale starts, but these scales are smaller than the actual fish scales, and their skin, you said, is tough. Yes. So tough skin plus placoid scales. Placoid scales are a feature, characteristic feature. So you would like to underline this. This should definitely be in your placoid scales, open gill slits, and ventral mouth should be in chondriocthies for sure. Okay. And placoid scales, not just skin, tough skin, placoid scales, and even their teeth are nothing but placoid scales. You know that? So teeth are also modified placoid scales. They are not some other different thing. And if you see a shark mouth, if I make a shark's open mouth, in a mouth of a shark, you will see that the teeth are backward, like this. Have you seen that? If this is the open mouth of the shark, you will see that the teeth are like this. They're aligned in a backward manner. So that's why sharks bite is very, very lethal, because it's like a hacksaw blade bent backwards. So anything that a sharp shark puts a grip on, it's very difficult to get it out. You understand? So teeth are also placoid scales. And what else?
Yeah, they have to swim constantly to avoid shrinking
Yes.
due to
So
the absence of air bladder.
yes. So swim bladder, which is also known as air bladder. In cartilaginous fishes, air bladder is absent. So swim bladder is absent. It's present in the bony fish. Swim bladder is a bladder full of air. So you can just imagine organisms that live in water, if they have an air bladder, even if they sleep while swimming, they will be afloat. They will not drown. Now you will see, can fish also drown? You know, fish live in water. How can they drown in water? Yes, they can, because as you go deep in the water, the pressure there is different, and the dissolution of oxygen in the water is also less and less as you go deep down. So if you go very deep, on the surface, it is the most oxygen you will get dissolved in the water. As you go deep down, the oxygen becomes less and less. It's the opposite of on the land. On the land, on the surface, we have the most oxygen. As we keep going up on the mountains, if you go on the Mount Everest, you will have very less oxygen to breathe, right? So
Yes.
same rule follows. So fish who do not have air bladder constantly have to keep swimming to not drown, to stay towards the surface.
So,
Otherwise
so won't they
they
get?
will, sorry?
So, if they have to constantly swim, won't they
Yeah.
get?
Won't they get tired? Yeah, I think they won't, because that's how they have evolved. For them, it's just like staying, living. They will not be swimming fast at the same speed all the time. They will just be, but they will be actively swimming. You understand? That's the difference, because they don't have air bladder. But there is also a problem with air bladder. If you have air bladder, you cannot go deep even if you want. It's like you having a life jacket around yourself and you want to dive in. Will you be able to dive in with a life jacket?
Mhm.
It keeps you afloat. So cartilaginous fishes can actually can go deep inside the sea if required, but bony fishes which have air bladder can only go till a limit. Beyond that, their air bladder will not allow them to go in, right? So in this, air bladder is absent, which is the fourth important feature. What is the fifth feature you will put?
Some of them have electric electric organs.
Okay.
Electric, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I will add, because some of them you are talking about the torpedo, like the eel kind of. Electric organs means they can produce electric current in their body. And that's interesting. Think about it in your free time. So eel, if you touch an eel, you get an electric shock, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it is sometimes even deadly. A person can die due to a eel's electric shock. Why doesn't the organism dies? the eel itself, why does not the eel dies, given the fact that it is in the water? And they can be in the salty water, which is a conductor of electricity. Why don't they, their own brain, their own muscles get this shock which is coming from their own body? Why don't they die? Let me tell you, a snake can die of its own venom. Do you know that? If you
Yes.
take the venom of a cobra and inject it in cobra, the cobra will die. So their own venom never reaches their own blood. That's why they are alive. But how is it possible for an eel? If you can think, just think in your free time, and we can discuss the same in the next class, that why does not these fish that can create electricity die of their own electricity by shock? But the fifth point that I will put is that they are cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah. They are cold-blooded, and cold-blooded are called poikilothermus. The word thermos is for temperature or heat. Poikilo is not able to, like cold. Is it clear? So they are cold-blooded. They cannot regulate their body temperature. Okay. Then sexes are separate. They have males and females, and males have claspers, with which they can actually get a hold on females while reproducing. The fertilization is internal. They are viviparous. Yes, remember, many of them are viviparous, but some of them can also be oviparous. Okay. Yeah, so those organisms are called ovoviviparous. You can even lay eggs. For example, shark also, some species lay eggs, and some species give rise to babies. And sharks are ferocious predators in nature. You know, they are so ferocious that it's another interesting thing you would like to check on. You know, shark babies compete even within the brood, within the body of the mother. It has been seen in case of great white tiger shark, or great white shark and the tiger shark, that the first baby that develops and comes out of its and becomes active in the brood kills the rest of the fetuses. You know, they're murderers, they're predators right from the womb. Okay, so they are poikilothermous, but they can have they are cold-blooded, and they have two-chambered heart. Remember, that is true for all fish, whether they are cartilaginous or bony. So I'm just putting it as an extra. Two-chambered heart. Fish have two-chambered heart. From amphibians onwards, we will start with a three-chambered heart. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how you have to do the classes. We have done 2 classes. Now you know how to do it. So can you give you amphibian, reptiles, birds, and mammals as an homework? Can you do the same thing? Just 5 major points for each.
Yes. Till
Before we
where?
meet. Just 4 are left, right? We have 7 classes here. 2 we have done.
5 are left.
5 are left. Yes. So you have to do osteotheres in fish, and then amphibia, reptile, aves, and mammalia, and tetrapoda. But stick to the 5 rule, okay?
Yes.
Okay. So this is your homework from osteotheres to mammalia, and we'll discuss it in the next class. And which chapter do you want me to start with that? So we have done animal kingdom. Shall we also go to plant kingdom and finish it?
So I
Is
really
it,
wanted to start photos.
you want to start what?
I want you to start photosynthesis in higher plants. That's a really tough chapter.
Photosynthesis in higher plants. Okay, so but don't you think for that we should do plants first? Okay, anyways, so let's start with what is a which. Okay, let's start with photosynthesis in higher plants. Is it a chapter?
Yes, chapter 13.
Just 1 second. Let me just have a look at it. Which chapter is it?
Chapter 13.
Chapter 13. Okay, it come under the unit 4, plant physiology, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is the first chapter? Have we done